EastEnders Priya Nandra-Hart found herself facing two enormous decisions on 20th of August after the dramatic discovery that she is pregnant. The revelation has completely changed the situation surrounding her complicated love life, leaving her with a series of difficult choices that could have serious consequences for everyone involved. Priya had already been struggling to keep her personal life under control. She has been secretly involved with Max Branning, despite being in a long-term relationship with Ravi Gulati. While Priya and Max initially treated their relationship as something casual, the situation has now become far more serious because of the pregnancy. To make matters even more complicated, Ravi remains completely unaware of Priya's affair with Max. Instead of suspecting that his relationship could be in danger, Ravi has been trying to make their future together more permanent. His decision to propose to Priya has placed even more pressure on her, especially now that she is expecting a baby. With so many secrets surrounding her, Priya has been left wondering which path she should take. Should she continue with her pregnancy and attempt to build a future with Ravi? Or should she end the pregnancy and keep her complicated relationship with Max from completely destroying her life? During the latest episode, Jean Slater quickly noticed that Priya was behaving differently. Priya had clearly been carrying a huge emotional burden, and Jean could tell that something was troubling her. Eventually, Priya decided that she could no longer keep everything to herself and revealed that she was pregnant. The confession immediately highlighted just how difficult Priya's situation had become. She admitted that the circumstances surrounding her pregnancy were far from straightforward. Her relationship with Max had never been intended to become anything serious, and she certainly had not expected their brief affair to result in such a life-changing situation. Priya explained that she had already arranged to have a termination later that day. At that point, she appeared convinced that ending the pregnancy would be the easiest way to deal with the problem. She viewed her relationship with Max as something that was never supposed to develop into a proper family situation. For Priya, the idea of raising a child connected to Max while remaining with Ravi seemed almost impossible. She knew that continuing the pregnancy could expose her affair and potentially destroy the relationship she had spent years building with Ravi. Jean understood that Priya was facing an incredibly difficult decision. Rather than forcing her to choose one particular option, Jean encouraged her to think carefully about what she genuinely wanted. She reminded Priya that the final decision had to be hers and offered to accompany her for support. That conversation appeared to have an impact on Priya. Although she had initially planned to go ahead with the termination, Jean's support gave her an opportunity to consider whether she was making the decision because it was truly what she wanted, or simply because she was frightened of the consequences. Priya then decided to speak to Max. She went to the cafe, hoping that their conversation might help her understand what he wanted and where their relationship stood. However, Max's response only made the situation more complicated. Rather than encouraging Priya to focus on the pregnancy, he suggested that she should accept Ravi's proposal. His advice was particularly significant because Max knows that Priya's relationship with Ravi is already under enormous pressure. Max appeared to believe that Priya's best option was to continue her relationship with Ravi, even though doing so would mean keeping the truth about their affair hidden. His suggestion left Priya with even more to think about. Later, Priya and Max encountered each other again in the park. Max noticed that Priya was upset and attempted to offer her some emotional support. He approached her as a friend, seemingly wanting to make sure that she was coping with everything happening in her life. Priya, however, was not interested in receiving comfort from Max. Their relationship had already become too complicated, and she appeared frustrated by his behavior. Instead of accepting his support, she pushed him away and told him that he was not exactly a nice person. The tense exchange between them was suddenly interrupted when Branning began coughing up blood. The situation immediately changed. Whatever problems Priya and Max had been discussing were temporarily forgotten as Penny's condition became the priority. Max quickly stepped in to help Penny. He contacted the emergency services and remained on the line while help was arranged. Penny was eventually taken to hospital, where doctors discovered that she had a blood clot. The frightening incident had a profound effect on Priya. Watching Penny suddenly become seriously unwell forced her to think differently about her own circumstances. Priya later crossed paths with Jean at the market. Jean immediately noticed that Priya was extremely shaken by what she had witnessed. Instead of leaving her to deal with everything alone, Jean took her back to the Slater house so that she could calm down and talk through her feelings. Once they were alone, Priya admitted that the events surrounding Penny had made her reconsider her earlier decision. Until that point, Priya had been thinking primarily about the problems created by the pregnancy. She had been worried about Max, Ravi, the affair, and the possibility that the truth could eventually come out. But seeing Penny's health suddenly deteriorate made her realize that her pregnancy was also something deeply personal. For the first time, Priya began to seriously question whether ending the pregnancy was actually what she wanted. Her emotions were understandably conflicted. On one side, continuing with the pregnancy could completely change her life and potentially expose her secret relationship with Max. On the other hand, ending the pregnancy was also a major decision that she might later regret. After considering everything, Priya eventually reached a dramatic conclusion. She decided to continue with the pregnancy. The decision represents a huge turning point for Priya, but it does not mean that her problems are over. In fact, her choice could create even greater complications in the future. One of the biggest questions surrounding the pregnancy is the identity of the baby's father. Given Priya's affair with Max, there is a strong possibility that the baby could be his rather than Ravi's. If Max is eventually confirmed to be the father, Priya will face an extremely difficult situation. She is now planning a future with Ravi while carrying a baby that may have been conceived during her secret relationship with Max. That secret could potentially destroy everything Priya has been trying to protect. Despite all of these complications, Priya made another major decision regarding Ravi. After initially finding herself under pressure because of his proposal, she eventually encouraged Ravi to propose to her again. This time, however, Priya accepted. She explained that witnessing Penny's frightening health crisis had changed her perspective. The incident made Priya realize that she did not want to lose Ravi and that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with him. Her decision to accept Ravi's proposal creates an enormous contradiction in her life. She has chosen to continue with a pregnancy that could potentially belong to Max, while simultaneously agreeing to marry Ravi without telling him the full truth. For the moment, Ravi remains unaware of the secret that could completely change their future. Priya may believe that accepting Ravi's proposal is the right choice, but keeping such an important secret is unlikely to be easy. The longer she hides her relationship with Max, the greater the risk that someone else could discover the truth. Max is also unlikely to disappear from her life completely. Their affair has already created a complicated connection between them, and the possibility that he could be the father of Priya's baby means that their lives could remain closely connected. That could become particularly difficult once Ravi learns that Priya has been unfaithful. Priya now has to deal with several major uncertainties at once. She is pregnant, engaged to Ravi, secretly involved with Max, and unsure how long she can keep the truth hidden. Her decision to continue the pregnancy may have given her some clarity, but it has also opened the door to a completely different set of problems. EastEnders is broadcast on BBC One from Monday through Thursday at 7:30 p.m, while the latest episodes are available to watch on BBC iPlayer from 6 a.m.